His music, his generosity will outlive not only us, but our children and their children.
Imagine a concert hall suddenly falling silent, one final chord hanging in the air. In that breathless moment, thousands felt it. Something had changed forever. On February 5, 2024, country music lost one of its fiercest, most faithful voices. Toby Keith had been battling cancer in private, even as he gave his all on stage. A warrior to the end, his final bow would echo through country music history. In mid-December 2023, the Encore Theater in Las Vegas lit up for what fans didn't yet know were Toby Keith's final shows. He stepped into the spotlight, white cowboy hat, guitar slung low, and opened with "Should Have Been a Cowboy." The crowd erupted. Between verses, he placed his hat on the mic stand, eyes glinting with both joy and something unspoken. He cracked jokes about Vegas weather, praised his longtime bandmates by name, and let fans sing the chorus to "Red Solo Cup" as confetti burst overhead. Backstage, his family watched, knowing the toll cancer had taken, but that night was for joy, not pain. He performed a sweeping set spanning 4 decades, ending with "I Love This Bar." As Trisha joined him, he kissed her forehead and raised her hand to the crowd. No one knew it would be his final live performance. That very morning, his health had taken a quiet turn. But he pushed through, unwilling to let go of the stage. After the show, he signed every autograph, smiled for every photo, never rushing, making each fan feel seen. He kept a promise he'd made long ago on a tiny Oklahoma stage to give everything until he had nothing left. In November 2021, an ache in Toby's stomach refused to fade. Tests revealed cancer. Only Trisha and their children knew at first. He called it a bump in the road and began a long, grueling journey. Chemo, radiation, surgery. Even while undergoing treatment, he recorded songs, gave interviews, held benefit concerts, and inspired others through his grit. Despite setbacks, he never let cancer define him. He found strength in family, music, and faith. Trisha stayed by his side, packing hospital bags, cleaning wounds, managing chaos with grace. Their children stood vigil, playing music in hospital halls, reading tales of open skies to him. Through it all, he held on to his craft. "Music built this man," he once wrote, "and music will carry me through." Toby and Trisha met at a county fair in Yukon, Oklahoma, and married in 1984. Their life together was stitched with small-town joy, family barbecues, Sunday breakfasts, songs around bonfires, initials carved into oak trees. Their home in Norman buzzed with laughter, compassion, and music. When his health declined, their ranch became a refuge. Soft jazz would drift through the halls. Trisha made comforting broths and smoothies. Crystal read aloud from frontier classics. Stellan strummed quiet chords. He took his final breath in that same living room, surrounded by the songs and love he had built. In 2013, Toby and Trisha turned heartbreak into hope. Recognizing families stranded in hospital waiting rooms, they created OK Kids Choral, a free retreat near Oklahoma City's Children's Hospital. Brightly painted cottages, fully stocked kitchens, and volunteer-filled homes provided relief when it was needed most. Over the years, the choral hosted over 5,000 families, launched a mobile comfort kit van, provided scholarships, and brought art therapy into inpatient wards. Toby made surprise visits, guitar in hand, whispering, "Keep fighting. I'll see you on stage someday." That became more than a promise, it became a lifeline. After he passed, Trisha carried on their mission, leading with grace and honoring fans and families alike, always ending each encounter with, "He would have tipped his hat to you." On a cold February morning, loved ones gathered in Oklahoma City, including those who'd known him longest, for a private farewell at St. John's Episcopal Church, where he and Trisha were married. Simple, heartfelt tributes filled the space, acoustic renditions of "American Soldier" and "Amazing Grace." Family, friends, and bandmates in respectful attendance. At the cemetery, Trisha, in the anniversary dress he gave her, placed a single rose on his casket. "Rest now," she whispered. The family requested donations in lieu of flowers to OK Kids Choral, and within a week, $2 million had poured in. Bars hosted Toby nights, churches raised funds, and fans everywhere honored his legacy with acts of kindness. He was posthumously inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame's Modern Era class of 2024. Though he could not be there in person, his impact was felt all around. Hashtags like Toby Keith half trended as fans and fellow artists celebrated a legacy etched in gold records and 26 no-one hits. In Nashville, on October 20, the CMA Theater brimmed with emotion as Trisha accepted the honor on his behalf. In a sapphire blue dress, holding his medallion, her heart and words capturing 4 decades of love, labor, and legacy. The standing ovation was long and thunderous. Outside, a candlelight vigil lit Broadway as fans joined in song, tracing his impact through memory and melody. At that ceremony, Trisha rose one last time. She held her speech tightly, reflecting on their life together. The fair, the lemonade, the songs, the fight, the faith. Her voice broke as she spoke. There may be better singers or better writers, but no one worked harder or gave more. Toby, I don't know if you can see me now, but I know you'd tip your hat and say, "Well done, sweetheart." Her final word was thank you. The room paused, then rose in applause that rippled through hearts and halls alike. Outside the theater, a soft drizzle began to fall, as if the sky itself had decided to mourn. Fans stood shoulder to shoulder along the Nashville sidewalks, holding candles, American flags, and handwritten signs. Some wore his tour shirts, others clutched old vinyl records close to their chests. But all had come with reverence. They sang in unison, courtesy of the red, white, and blue, melting into "Don't Let the Old Man In." Some cried quietly, some smiled through tears. The lyrics were more than music now, they were memories, stitched into lives across generations. Backstage, Trisha stood alone for a moment, staring at the stage where her husband's voice had once echoed so easily. The Hall of Fame medallion, heavy and gleaming, hung around her neck like both a trophy and a weight. She wasn't thinking about the awards or the gold records or the headlines. She was thinking of an old diner where they used to sit for hours, where Toby would scribble lyrics on napkins and hum into coffee cups, where she'd laugh at his early ideas and encourage the best ones. She remembered their first apartment, the leaky sink, the second-hand furniture, the way he'd come home exhausted from odd jobs, still writing songs after midnight. She whispered, "You did it, cowboy." A few feet away, their son, Stellan, stood quietly beside the band's steel guitarist, both staring at the guitar Toby had used in his last recording session. Stellan ran his fingers along the fretboard, then adjusted the strap the way his father always had. He didn't say a word, just nodded, slowly. Maybe one day he'd play that guitar in his own way. For now, it was enough to just feel the legacy in his hands. Weeks later, the tributes hadn't stopped. Across the country, barroom jukeboxes blared, "How Do You Like Me Now?" as if defying grief with grit. School choirs sang American Soldier at Veterans Day programs. Even in tiny towns, murals appeared overnight, spray-painted cowboy hats, red solo cups, flags, and lyrics swirling across concrete walls like hymns. Radio stations held all Toby weekends, where fans called in to share stories. The vet who found courage in "If I Was Jesus." The single mom who played "Love Me If You Can" every night to calm her son. The teenager who found strength in "As Good As I Once Was" after chemotherapy. And then there was the woman from Kansas. She wrote a letter to the Keith family, explaining how she'd once been waiting tables in Tulsa when Toby came in with his road crew. They were loud, hungry, and tired from the road. She was new, nervous, and struggling. Without saying a word, he left a $500 tip and a note, "Chin up, kid. You're doing better than you think." She kept the note for over a decade, taped inside a recipe book, faded with time but never forgotten. Now, it sat framed on her kitchen wall. In Oklahoma, the Keith Ranch turned into a place of remembrance. Fans left boots by the gate, along with flags, flowers, poems, guitars, and old ticket stubs. The family didn't ask them to come, but they came anyway, quietly, respectfully. On the 1-year anniversary of his final concert, they held a small vigil. Trisha lit a lantern and let it rise into the wide country sky. "Wherever he is," she said softly, I hope he's writing again. The family continued the work he started. OK Kids Choral expanded, adding new family rooms, a music therapy suite, and even a songwriting room named Toby's Tune Shack, where young patients could write, sing, or just escape the hard parts of treatment for a while. Tricia visited weekly, sometimes bringing cookies, sometimes just sitting and listening. Toby always said a good song doesn't fix everything, she told a volunteer, but it helps carry you through the worst of it. His philosophy lived on in every strum, every smile, every family housed. In 2025, the Country Music Association announced the creation of the Toby Keith Award, honoring artists who blended patriotism, philanthropy, and performance. The first recipient, a young country singer who had once opened for Toby and described him as the toughest, kindest man I ever met in this business, he said during his acceptance speech. Toby showed me that country music isn't just what you play, it's how you show up for people. How you show up for family, for fans, for your beliefs. Some nights, Tricia would walk their land alone, boots crunching softly against the gravel. She'd pause beneath the old oak tree where Toby once carved their initials. She'd remember the wind in his hair, the rasp of his laugh, the way he used to read lyrics aloud just to hear how they landed. And sometimes, when the moon was high and the wind carried just right, she could almost hear his voice again. Not the booming one from stadiums, but the softer one that hummed lullabies to their kids or whispered prayers when no one else was listening. She wasn't alone in that. Thousands, millions, even, kept his voice alive in their own quiet ways. In car rides and campfires, at weddings and funerals, in kitchen dances and tailgate toasts. Every time someone stood up for what they believed, helped a stranger, sang a song from the heart, or raised a glass to a soldier, they were living a piece of his truth. Because Toby Keith wasn't just a performer. He was a reminder that working hard, loving deep, standing tall, and giving back mattered. And maybe, just maybe, somewhere beyond the stars, he's leaning back in a folding chair, guitar on his lap, beer in hand, sky wide open, and saying, "Don't mourn me too long." There's music to be made. As one fan wrote on the fence post at his ranch, in black marker that's already started to fade, "Thanks, Toby, for the songs, the strength, the soul. Ride on,